Ladies and gents, welcome back to another Engineers podcast. Today I'm joined by Maxime, who's the engineering director on the platform side of the business, who are a commerce media platform. And their job is really to help connect thousands of marketers and media owners to really go and deliver rich consumer experiences. And we've got a number of topics that we're going to break down today that are really interesting around processing large volumes of data. The reason why Criteo are using on premise over cloud, some of the trade offs between that, and actually exploring platform engineering in those specific environments. And of course, we'll be talking about many other things in between. Maxim, thanks for coming to join us. How are you?
Thanks, Elliot. Hi. Hi, everyone. I'm good. So, yeah, this is Maxime from Criteo. I'm really glad to be invited in this podcast, and I hope we could discuss lots of interesting topic around platform engineering and infrastructure.
Let's do it. And 13 and a half years at Criteo, 3 years before the IPO. It's a long time, especially in today's climate, to be with a business. So I commend you for that. But tell us, in as short as possible, um, those last 13 and a half years about your roles and who you are.
Yes, definitely. So, yeah, I joined Criteo as a software engineer at the time in 2010. Back in the time, Criteo was a startup, growing pretty fast, based in Paris, in France, and yeah, we were mostly focusing on retargeting, so retargeting advertising business on the open internet, and we were starting to have loads and loads of data. So most of I would say, the first uh, 5 years of working at Criteo were quite a ride. Lots of growth, and lots of growth in terms of scaling and scaling and scaling. We grew internationally. We went public indeed in 2013, and the company evolved. The company grew. Is more than 3,000 employees now. Back when I joined, I think it was about 100. So yeah, and my job evolved too. So I worked a lot on data as a software engineer, as more of a DevOps on infrastructure, managing servers, starting to use like distributed systems like Hadoop, automating infrastructure more and more, and then now managing all the services uh, for developers and for data scientists, and yeah, for all of Criteo on top of our infrastructure. Yeah, Criteo is the huge company now. Well, huge, not big like big tech, but 3,000 people, more than 800 engineers in R&D. Yeah.
That's a
And
that's a pretty phenomenal, unique experience, by the way. Employee number 100, to see a business grow to 3,000 people. That is a fantastic learning, by the way, to go and be involved in something like that, not just from a technology standpoint, but from a business, innovation, entrepreneurship environment. That's pretty incredible.
yes, definitely. And yeah, the company changed a lot. The teams changed a lot. The dynamics changed a lot over time. There were different phases. As I said, yeah, there's the international growth. There's the phase where we are going more through like some acquisitions, like challenging our historical retargeting business, which is now not growing or growing less. And we have a lot of other businesses. The whole push on retail media in the advertising industry, but Criteo was one of the first. They are starting in 2016. Uh, so yeah, that was really interesting. Also, the fact that the company was founded in France. Now it's very international. Headquarters are still in Paris, but lots of teams everywhere in the world. It's quite amazing.
Okay. I've given Criteo an introduction, let's call it that. Give us an idea of what makes Criteo's platform just so compelling for people, and what is it that you actually do?
So Criteo is so it's a company that helps advertiser, retailers, and publishers to to basically activate and to monetize their supply. The goal, the power of Criteo is to build this commerce media platform where we have like a very in like fully capable suite of products that could help you both building like a supply side platform, demand side platform on retail media, on site and off site retail media. So yeah, I'm not again working directly on the business, but I think what we have is quite unique. We have this very strong experience on working on the open web with lots of data and lots of performance, and we are using that to now a lot of part of the advertising industry on the internet, making it basically capable to yeah. I think we can scale very well. That's also a big strength of Criteo, with mostly using machine learning and AI techniques. So yeah,
I,
it's not.
I can't wait. Yeah, no, I can't wait to get stuck into some of that. But quite simply, why do you think data is so important to Criteo?
Well, data is is important to Criteo. Well, first, I think data is important to our customers because our customers have well, there's there's a lot there, but we our main business is to use data to deliver some level of performance and some added value on monetization, on making sure people like users of the open internet will find the right products, find the buy the right things. Um, so yeah, all of that needs a lot of data, as you know, when you are well in this whole trend of AI now, which is quite quite popular at the moment. People know they need like AI models need to learn a lot of data, and that's also part of why we have a I think a unique advantage with all the data we can ingest and we can process and we can produce.
Yeah. Talk to us about some of those ingestion and processing volumes. Help us understand that part. Then I'm really keen to tie it to the machine learning and AI aspect and what's going on at the moment. So, first part, ingestion and processing, volumes, challenges. Break those down for us.
Yes, so we are we are processing large volumes of data. I would say probably around hundreds of terabytes of data per day are being ingested in our data platform at the moment, which means we have probably around uh, something like dozens of petabytes of data we are storing for various purposes. Um, the the main the main source of data, I mean, it's mostly coming from traffic, from web traffic and application mobile applications that we are collecting with our partners. So yeah, I could describe more technically how it works. We are leveraging a lot of open source technologies there too. Like most of our data goes through Kafka clusters, and then end up stored in Hadoop. Um, yeah, and as you said in the introduction, all of that is hosted on premise, not using cloud technology. Although with some recent acquisitions, we have more and more cloud footprints.
Okay. Interesting. We can explore that a little bit further. I want to explore the machine learning and AI aspect, especially in the world of marketing, the world of advertisement. It's more and more prevalent. It's actually way up there from what I see. I'm a social media user, so I see it more and more. But talk to us about, or tie together, machine learning and AI and the large volumes of data that you're ingesting from customers. Like, talk to us about the synergy there and what's actually going on.
So yeah, the like this is part of the heart of Criteo. We've built the initial core product of Criteo is actually AI and performance. So trying to predict is the probability of a user clicking on an ad, how much the user is going or is about to spend on this product or this product. And yeah, to do that, we went through a long history of AI techniques, but most of them are built. I mean, AI is which is why we usually call machine learning is based on the fact that you need to see the past to replay the past to try to predict the future. So the more information you have on, okay, when a user with this kind of behavior has seen this ad, then there is a lot of probability for this user to click. So yeah, we had a lot of naive technique back when I arrived at Criteo. Then we ended up moving to more advanced techniques with logistic regressions and now deep learning and all of this more modern AI technique. I would I'm not gonna speak on behalf of our AI lab managers, but I have the impression that our machine learning engineers and researchers are quite advanced on the domain. There's a lot of you can look online. There's a lot of publications by the Criteo AI lab, and by the platform they need to do that is indeed has to scale. Of course, they have to be able to prepare the data for the training of the model. So there's a lot of work on processing like all the data we gather. So it's mostly the way we gather data is mostly logs that we gather from Kafka, as I said. Then there's a lot of like joining the logs, preparing the log, putting it in the right format. So lots of pre-processing, and then the training happens. And one thing that's also quite interesting, and it's quite different from what you see with recent discussion on LLMs, where you have these big models that take months to train, and then then the model is rarely updated. What we do is we train models and we update them like all the time. Every time during the day, models are updated multiple times a day to be used in real time, then to display banners and bid on advertising platforms.
I was going to say, how Criteo have modeled their business, AI, machine learning, and let's just say the craze over the last 12 to 18 months, you've really been doing quite a lot of that around AI for the last however many years. I don't know how long the AI labs have been around and you've been training models, etc., for, but that's really been in the DNA of your business. So actually, new discoveries in AI just accentuate the business even further. You can just build on top of that.
Yeah, definitely. So the new discoveries on AI around, especially around generative AI, is super interesting for us. We have a team and a roadmap trying to leverage that for our business. Today, most of the AI we use in production is not generative AI. It's more like typical both deep learning and lots of techniques, but nothing that is generative at the moment, although we have a lot of things on the roadmap. And yes, I think it's good that the industry, and also I think the fact that what happened is that the OpenAI made AI very visible to end users, which was not the case before. It was used a lot. We are not clearly not the only company doing AI, and actually, like the Google and the Meta, all of them are doing it for ads, indeed, and also for a lot of use cases. But it was not as visible as you can see with like this ChatGPT and other solutions, indeed.
Yeah, okay, good point. That is a really good point. I do want to come back to the scale of some of the data that you're ingesting. For people listening to the platform, like we try and ensure that there's learning opportunities, and some of the people listening wouldn't have had the opportunity to sit inside a business with the scale that you have. Help us understand the challenges and considerations that you and your engineers have on building a scalable, resilient data platform to handle the volumes that you're handling at the moment.
So it's well, it was mostly, it took years, so it's a long
Okay.
process. I'm not going to lie and say we had a big plan and everything was defined from the beginning. Obviously not. No, we ended up like building solutions because the scale needed it. There's also a lot of focus on developers, because my team is indeed, yeah, there's the scale aspect, but there is also the fact that we want our developers, as I said, there's hundreds of them using the platform to develop applications, data specific applications, but any type of applications that are useful for the business and to build products. And we want them to mm, be as productive as possible, so that they don't so that we try to take the load of making sure things scale, making sure things are reliable and robust and secure, all of that. So yeah, and to do that, well, we are not the only one to do that. So platform engineering is quite common, and indeed we leverage a lot of open source technologies. We try to not have we try not to build custom things when there are open source solutions or other solutions available on the shelf. But yeah, there's a lot, and yeah, around data, we are using a lot of things around Hadoop and Spark. We have our own data catalog system that is able to track thousands and thousands of data sets across the company. We have our own ETL, extract, transform, and load system, which is allowing developers to simply define pipelines with SQL queries, and it allows the whole company to track, like, when a data set is built through that system, where does it come from, what are the dependencies, and if something goes wrong and we need to fix the data from the previous day, everything will be recomputed uh, from there. So that, yeah, there's a lot of things like that. It's quite yeah, there's
I
quite a lot
think,
of different
oh,
applications there.
yeah, I was just about to say that. I think from what I hear from you, learning about technologies or open source technologies in particular and being able to leverage the right tool for the right job has given you the access to be able to scale in the areas that you need and for particular reasons. And I think that's quite different. That is quite different learning to what I typically hear on here, as in when I say here, the podcast. So I think that's a really nice outlook, as in leveraging open source technologies and using them in the right way to allow your business to scale is probably something that I could definitely take away from this.
And yes, the a lot of what we do comes down to, okay, let's look at what's available. Let's look at what other companies are doing. When we were scaling very hard, a lot of things we did were inspired by papers or talks from the bigger players in the industry around that have like loads of data centers. How do they do this? Like, how do we simple like things that look simple when you have a few servers but are very difficult at scale? Like, how do you upgrade your operating system on 10,000 servers? How do you handle there's a lot of complex distributed system incidents you have to handle. The whole way we respond to incidents and evolve, the whole way we organize our teams, all of that is a mix of learnings and inspiration from others. So there's
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
open source is clearly part of that.
No, absolutely. And I think you make a really good point. We were talking about it offline. We have worked with and spoken to Adjin on the podcast here, and they, a little bit like you, were born pre-cloud. So they built all of their services on premise. And, my belief is they maybe use, one or two things here and there around public cloud, similar to you, from what I understand. What do you think the trade offs are when you're building something on premise than when you're building cloud?
So yeah, there's a lot of trade-off. The first thing is that you have to look at the type of stack you're gonna have. If you're going to use sort of a monolithic application that's quite standard, where a lot of the dependencies could be open source, like a typical web application or with a SQL database and things like that. You don't you don't need complex services from the cloud. Then it could work. However, one of the other problem would be like the cost of starting this is probably prohibitive for a small player. We have the luck that we didn't have a choice, so we did it. But if we were to start from scratch, it would probably be more difficult. The nice thing is in practice, not being on the cloud is much cheaper. Now, it depends on when you are on your business. Is your business are the infrastructure costs, the cloud cost of your business going to be a big part of your cost and a big do you really want to optimize that or not? That's a question you need to ask yourself, I guess, because it may not be your first priority. I don't know. It's really depends on. You have to look at your business. You have to look at the services you need. I think one of the other thing you're losing clearly when you're going on premise is you don't have access to the tons and tons of new features and services that come up every week, and that could be limiting, especially if you need to like pivot and go very quickly, and your engineering team is maybe too small to test to build things themselves. So yes.
And that's something that I wanted to go a little bit deeper in and understand is help me understand what platform engineering looks like in an on-prem capacity, because I think my understanding has really been about platform engineering in cloud environments, and you refer to it, new services, new tools, new features probably make it a lot easier to create that platform engineering environment. But again, that could be my lack of understanding. So I really want to explore that with you and understand what platform engineering on prem looks like.
So there are differences, but in the end, the mission is the same. We need to provide the services to developers so they can build their applications, and a lot of things are going to be similar. Yeah, you're gonna need to have an observability stack. So yes, every time you could ask yourself, do I build one, or do I use something on the shelf and just pay a service? For example, are you going to use yeah, you could use any service for observability, or you could build your own. You could use one for your container systems. You could do one for your database systems, for your streaming system, for your. And so we have the same. We when you're on premise, you could ask your same question. We could use external solutions for some parts. Obviously, we are not going to have a database in the cloud if our web application is in the data center. That doesn't really make sense. But there is the same philosophy. Like every time we need to build a new service or feature, we look at what's available in clouds, in SaaS solutions, and open source or non-open source on-prem solutions. Obviously, if something is available in the cloud, there's the integration part that could be difficult, but it's not necessarily a blocker. Every time we end up converging, well, not every time, most of the time we end up converging on using open source solutions, and a lot of open source solutions you can install them wherever, in clouds or not in cloud. So for example, for metrics, we're using Victoria Metrics, which is an open source solution, and most people are using it in cloud, but we are not, and it's not that different in the end. We're using Kafka, we're using yeah, well, basically Kubernetes and things and tooling like that. Indeed, we are not able to leverage like the higher level managed services from cloud. Like, okay, if you go to AWS or Google Cloud or Azure, you have Kubernetes, managed Kubernetes. We have to build our own, indeed. um, and that's that's part of the trade-off,
Yeah. Okay.
definitely.
Yeah, I can imagine. How have you organised your platform team, and what would you say some of the key disciplines are in those teams?
So platform teams are a mix of what we have. We have two different type of tracks, engineering tracks within my group. There's the more generic software engineer and SRE. Um, and it's actually a mix. Some teams are actually there is a dedicated group, a dedicated SRE group that we can discuss later, are more focusing on supporting our products, which is mostly SREs. But the other teams providing services for developers are usually a mix. Some teams are a bit more SRE, some teams a bit less. And the way they're organized is and this is not just my team, it's actually the whole Criteo R&D is organized by teams, and teams, quite small teams actually, between let's say 4 to 8 people. And teams are very autonomous. They have a team lead who is also hands-on, which is why the teams are small. The team lead managing the team and responsible for the tech leadership and delivery. And they have a defined scope. They have defined services they support, and they can work pretty much autonomously with the rest of the organization. And that's very efficient, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, and as I said, there are lots of teams. There's a team dedicated to, as I said earlier, maybe observability. There's a team dedicated to our data processing system, a team dedicated to Kafka, a team dedicated to our build systems, a team dedicated to our testing and deployment tooling.
Okay. So you've got visibility of all of these teams. I'm really interested to know, what do you think are the three characteristics that you need, let's just say, in an engineer generally, in today's landscape to really thrive?
I think I think especially in the three characteristics. So it's a good question. There's a lot. we need in terms of first, there's the need for expertise. There's the need for being good at collaboration. I would say maybe what's the most difficult to get, most rare for engineers to get, is the aspect of getting like there's a big need for collaboration, especially the way at Criteo we work is teams are autonomous. As I said, there's a lot of work that's driven by engineers themselves. It's not like we don't give them a roadmap that they have to implement. They have to come up with what are the solutions and what are the problems we are facing, and that's something that it not everyone is capable of, especially when you're getting to a wider scope, like not just your team, but you want to also have the bigger picture of, okay, what are the other teams around me doing and what am I doing for the company? So that's that's quite like, if you're capable of doing that, you're clearly going to be helping the business a lot, and that's and have an impact.
So collaboration, what would your other two be?
Collaboration, getting the bigger picture, I would say, and maybe it goes with collaboration, but I would say also trust is quite important between people, employees. I think it helps a lot.
Yeah, I see that one help massively. I really think asking this question, prompting the thought for people, communication, collaboration is going to be really quite key. Listen, I want to say a big thank you for coming to join us. It's been really insightful learning about your individual journey, uh, being with a business as impressive as Criteo for the last 13 and a half years. That's some feat. Going through the business change that you've been through, 100 people to 3,000 people, 800 people in engineering, that's really impressive. And it's awesome to see what you guys and girls are doing. You know, I mentioned offline, I've always known, because I've spoken to people in the space before, ex Criteo, what you guys have been building. So it's quite cool to be here to learn a little bit more about that. So I want to say a big thank you to you, Maxime. Thank you for coming to join us.
And thank you for inviting me again. As I said, I learned a lot by listening to what other companies do, and I think it's fair game, and we really should share more, because that's how the industry progresses.
Yeah, you make a really good point, and yeah, we were talking about it as in you use open source technologies, you look at publications to see what other companies are doing and how they're doing it. Not to be cliche, you know, we're not open source in that regard, but it is our job to really talk about what companies are doing, how they're doing it. That's why I set this up years ago. That's why we continually do it. And we approach different companies in different countries because everything's different. Everything's different and it's unique to that company. So thank you. And for everyone listening, like, shares, subscribes, that's all massively, massively appreciated. So go ahead and do that. And, you know, a big thank you from us. Bye for now. Hey guys, thanks for watching this episode. Massively appreciate you listening and checking in with us. If you want to find out more about us and what we're doing, please check us out on social media. What we're trying to do at Enginears is build a community to drive knowledge sharing and experiences. On Twitter, we can be found Enginears.io. It's no underscore. We've also got a website which is enginears.io. These links will all be posted in the description. Any feedback and comments are massively appreciated. We're always looking to improve on where we can. Thanks, guys.